I asked it once, I'll ask it again. Are you not entertained? Because episode 2 of Record of Ragnarok, your host, as always, Griever, right here. Now, let's talk a little bit about this, because this episode actually, I would give it probably about a 7 out of 10, a point down from the last episode. And I'll tell you why. Because I understood what they were trying to go for, but it was too long. And you guys probably know what I'm talking about already. The stylized version, the storybook style telling of Thor's backstory. Not that the details, like everything was fine as far as structure for this goes. They managed to clear up 2 backstories in 1 episode. And still in between, you know, have some animation, have some shots, have some character development, all that fun jazz, and to have some clashes between Lubu and Thor. I really like this aspect because what I was afraid they were going to do, because usually from a manga standpoint, chapter by chapter, we tell 1 chapter is basically the entire backstory. What I was afraid they were going to do is sort of fill out the episode, but like episode 2, Thor's backstory. That's the main thing. Episode 3, Lubu's backstory, sort of in the manga format. It works in the manga, but from an episode basis, it would be basically a snail's pace to get to the actual fighting and the clashes, right? So one thing that this episode does really well is that they move this shit right along. I don't think anybody's going to complain about the pacing because now we got Lubu's backstory, we got Thor's backstory. We can finally see the rest of the fight, which is what we're going to see. And as I said in the last review, we're moving a certain scene talking about, you know, what we were talking about with the Valkyrie sisters and the concept of human weapons and the Volans and all that stuff. That scene, which was sort of hinted at in chapter 1 in the manga, that was sort of moved. They sort of crushed 2 scenes together, it appears. And in the next episode, I assume we're going to finish off the scene. They sort of put 2 conversations into one, which once again, that is a smart move for a pacing reason in an anime. So far, I'm not that disappointed. The thing that I didn't, as I said, the thing that brings it a point down is the fact that the storybook telling style that they were going for, like the flip book style they were going for in Thor's backstory. See, the problem with it is that I appreciate what they were trying to do. And I would argue that it worked, but a lot of people are going to dislike it. And one of the problems with it was too long. Had they done this storybook style for a 3-minute scene, not a 6-minute scene, probably would have went over fine, and that would be considered nitpicking. But at this point, it's a big portion of the episode, and that style is too... It's like, okay, did you really... Like, then you start thinking about budget cuts. Then you start thinking about animation. Then you start thinking about this, right? So when you're watching it as a critic, that's what you start to think about. And that sort of took me out of the moment a little bit, and that's why it gets a point down. I still think it was a 7 out of 10 episode, but that was probably the weakest part of the episode, was the style in which they told Thor's backstory. That was kind of boring. Lubu's went a lot faster, a lot quicker, and I have zero problem with Lubu's backstory. They summarized that shit like boom, 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 no problem, and I was really happy with that. And then we got more clashes. Like, we're getting the clashes between Thor and Lubu, and the idea that they would be friends sort of idea, or comrades. Also, we finally get the English voice actors for Thor and for Lubu, and I like both of them. I believe I recognize Lubu's. I'm not sure if I recognize Thor's, but definitely so far, once again, the English voice cast doing a phenomenal job as far as I'm concerned. The other thing is that now I think we officially got one part where the music, the OST, actually brought something to the scene. This is where, once again, in this episode, of course, Thor and Lubu are clashing sort of idea, and he decides to use Thor's hammer. Takes 2 hands on Mjolnir, reaches back, and slam! And, well, Lubu was able to block it. Now, Zeus is questioning this, and I love this scene with Hermes and stuff. We get Hermes' voice actor. I like Hermes' voice. Once again, I think the English cast did a phenomenal job. I think all the voices so far are suiting everybody insanely well. I'm really enjoying that. But what we get here is Zeus, of course, questioning sort of idea. And this is the reason I bring this scene up in particular, is because this is where the OST, this gothic choir overture, sort of happens in the episode. And the thing about that is that the music fits it so well. It's this whole haunting, gothic sort of reveal. It sort of reminded me of the, I'm not really sure what it's reminding me of, in all honesty. I can think of a couple of animes, a couple of artists, a couple of songs, but at the end of the day, the music fit. The music was sort of dialed up and the sound effects dialed down a little bit, and that was the intention. And when we get Brunhild's big, wide smile, like, Zeus, you finally figured it out, you old coot, sort of idea. And I was like, yes, the music's fitting the scene. I like it. It's showing the smirk on Brunhilde, I should say, face. And I was like, yes, okay, gotta make sure to note that, because in the last episode review, as I said, the OST was there, didn't really hear much from it, and nothing was too incredible or standoutish. That scene definitely stood out. So we have a bit of a negative with the stylized storybook telling that they did with Thor's backstory, but then it's made better by Lu Bu's being quick and not in that style, which is another thing that's why I'm not being too harsh on it. I'm imagining that was specifically for Thor. I don't think they're going to do that for every god or every backstory. Clearly they're not doing it for every backstory. I pray that they're not going to do it for every god backstory, like they're going to show it in the sort of faded style that they showed Lu Bu's, and then they're going to show every single one on an old 1930s camera with the storybook stylized for every god. If that's the case, then yes, I will minus a whole point off the series for doing that, because it works for short flashback scenes. 30 seconds to 2 minute scenes, I have no problem with, but these backstories are 5 to 6 minute long scenes. And eventually you're just kind of sitting there like, I could read the manga, if I'm going to see it shot by shot, right? So, I'm hoping that was a one-time thing. I'll have to watch future episodes to see. Now, was there anything else to bring up? Once again, the animation, I found it totally fine. The thing I like about it is a lot of people are probably going to complain about the fact that there was a lot of moving stills, a lot of motion lines, a lot of Thor doing this thing, and then you see his hand, and then it's just the lightning going all around it, and he moves his fist just a little bit, sort of idea. People are going to complain about that, but the thing is that I'm going to take the good with the bad as far as this is concerned. Once again, this is not, the studio doesn't have millions. I'm sorry, guys, they don't. Not to spend on this. I'm sorry, this is their push into an English release. We don't even have an English release. I believe it was announced they're finally going to serialize it for an official English release, and that was today. So the fact of the matter is that they're pushing this thing worldwide, and yes, it's very popular in a lot of countries, but it's not too popular in the West. That's an entire part of the world that it's just not, it's popular with us, but it's not popular with everybody. So I didn't expect it to get this $1 billion budget, right? So the fact of the matter is that I can watch the entire episode, and I can hit Windows, print screen, every single shot of Lu Bu and Thor, and regardless, I think almost every shot of any major character is perfect. I haven't seen a bad shot or a bad poorly drawn disproportion, anything like that. All I have seen of Thor and Lu Bu specifically, detailed stills. Sure, they might be stills, but they also look poster worthy. Every single shot, when they move and when they don't move. So you know what? I'll take that sort of good with the bad. The fact of the matter is that yes, they are using some motion blur, some motion lines, and they're trying to make the hits look stronger and better as a result of that, shring, and they're making these big epic things. I don't personally have a problem with it. I can see why some people will. I mean, let's just be realistic here. But but I'm not going to take a point away from that. I'm still going to call this a 7 out of 10 episode. I'm still going to call the animation 8 out of 10, because the fact of the matter is that when the animation is going, it looks great. And when it's not, the stills look flawless. Perfectly detailed, perfectly proportional. Thor and Lu Bu always look completely ripped, completely poster worthy, thumbnail worthy in every single shot, frame by frame. So if half of them are stills and half of them are moving, at the end of the day, they're all clean as fuck. So I don't really have much of a problem with that. I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. I like the idea of that they changed away from the narrator, which I like, the very deep and but when they're telling the backstories, when they started telling the backstories, I believe it's Brunhilde is the one talking. I believe she's the one narrating. I'm not too sure. I can't see them bringing in another narrator for that specific part, and the voice sounds very, very similar. So I believe that's who it is. I believe it's the voice actress playing Brunhilde that is the one that's doing the narrating over the two backstories in this episode. So if that's the case, I don't have a problem with that. It suits, because technically speaking, if there is a main character, she is the main character of Record of Ragnarok or Shimatsu no Valkyrie. She would be considered the main character. So yeah, so I'm fine with that, and I think it works because the telling and the storylines and stuff, it just works. So don't think there's anything more to say. The episode, once again, not as exciting as the first one, because we're getting into backstories and we're getting some info dumping and yada, yada, yada. But the next episode, see, this is the thing. We cleared up the two backstories. They're probably going to explain the whole Volin thing with the Valkyrie sisters, because they started that at the end of the last episode where she explains to Gaul, human weapons, they ain't going to do shit at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how strong these people are. It doesn't matter how crazy they are. This is not going to do anything. And then she explains, but we're going to do something a little different here. And this is what I was talking about moving scenes around, right? They sort of combined two conversations and put them into one scene from chapter 1 and then chapter 2. And I'm good with that. I think it works. And pacing-wise, I don't think anybody can, once again, complain about the pacing. The last thing to say is the ending theme. I really enjoy the ending. I enjoy the ending theme. I am going to have to warm up to the opening. I'm not going to hit skip intro. I'm going to keep listening to it. But honestly, visually and lyrically, I think it's, well, not lyrically, but musically, I think it's the weakest part so far. I've seen 2 episodes so far, and I think the opening, the minute and 30 opening, is the weakest part of the entire season so far. I think the opening is the worst part. But if you have to ask me, what's the worst part so far? So yeah, either way, I'm just really excited to go watch episode 3, and I hope you guys enjoyed episode 1. Of course, that review, I believe, is uploaded by now. I haven't really checked yet. It takes some time to upload to YouTube. But I finished watching the episode, came back here, now recording this one. I don't know if this one's coming out today or whatever. As I said, I don't think it's going to take 12 days to get all the videos out, but I do have a day job. I do have other things to do, so there might be a bit of a break in between or something like that. It might not be 2 videos a day. It might be only 1, and then the next day 2, etc., etc. So, but yeah, what did you guys think, though? Let me know down in the comment section down below, because I know, from what I understand from reading a little bit on Reddit and a little bit on Discord, there's still some negativity out there, and I just don't know how to help people that are going to be so glass half empty type of people. I just don't know how to help. Maybe you guys can explain to me down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, we are getting to 600 subscribers this month. There is less than 15 days, guys. You have 2 weeks to get me to 600 subscribers. I know you can do it. You passed the 500 subscriber milestone with flying colors, so I know it's possible, especially with such stellar content like the Tokyo Ghoul streams, which is tomorrow, and all these new episodes coming out for Valkyrie. I know it's going to be possible. I know we can do it. Let's get there. Once again, don't forget to drink responsibly, as always, and we will see you guys back here for episode 3. I can't wait to go watch it. See you next time.